welcome back to another segment of the Entreflow Appy Hour. So this week I'm going to review an app I'm sure many of you have heard of before. It's called Slack, and it's basically a kick-ass way to manage communication on your team or with other organizations. I'd like to caveat this whole conversation first with just saying that I was the biggest stick in the mud for jumping onto Slack, and my team was trying to get me onto Slack for ages before we finally jumped on it. And the reason being is that I'd seen Slack being misused with other organizations, where people were using it as everything for everything. And so it became their document repository. It became, every bit of information about every job that they were doing kind of spot, rather than using a field service management tool and communication. So Slack is great. It can do a lot of things. I'd say it is most successful though with communication. So replacing email. Okay. So the kick-ass feature for Slack is that it makes it super easy for teams to collaborate and communicate very easily. There are ways to connect with just single individual users, groups of users, or you can have channels to communicate with people about different projects or topics of interest. So super cool. So top features, it's free, which is awesome. The up to I think it's 10,000 messages. So that basically is 10,000 emails that you're not sending anymore, which is awesome. It makes it really easy to communicate between members or within channels, so groups of people, set groups of people, and even with other organizations. So you can have other workspaces or get onto another workspace at another company and be able to communicate back and forth with them through that, which is awesome. And also there's some really good Zap integrations and native integrations. So for instance, we use it so that when a proposal is signed off on, we get a message to a specific channel in Slack to notify the whole team, of course with a cheesy GIF, because why not, that a proposal was accepted, and that kicks off a whole other bunch of processes for us. And then as well, it has a really good integration with direct integration with Google Drive. So if somebody sends me a document, it shows up in a Slack channel for me. So I can access that really easily. I can send documents really easily. And then as well with Asana, and now this is a feature that I haven't been using yet, but every time I hear about it, I'm like, why am I not using that? You can actually assign yourself tasks in Slack to your Asana, which is super kick-ass. One of the requested features, although you can jump between workspaces really easily, it's a little bit cumbersome actually making that transition. So I'd like to see it organized a little bit more like Asana, where you've got to drop down and you just switch over rather than having to navigate over to the side and then select, and there's a little bit of a time lag. So it would be nicer to that navigation could be a little bit nicer. On the I talked about the cost. It's free until a certain level, and I think after a certain number of messages it's like $6 per person, so it's quite cheap and affordable. From a usability rating, it is easy peasy. From an implementation perspective, passes the grandma test. I guess one indicator of its awesomeness is that it was down earlier this week and everybody was freaking out. So especially on our team, we were confused about what to do. Do we send fax messages to each other? Do we find our pagers again? So it's definitely made an impact in our business if it goes down. And so I definitely recommend checking it out if you've got a team, especially if you have a remote team. Really easy to communicate with each other this way. Getting upstaged by an airplane. This is awesome. But like I said, make sure that you're using it appropriately for your business and not trying to use it as a replacement for all the other tools to help you with your workflows. So thanks again for watching another installment of the Entreflow Appy Hour, talking about Slack today.